All right, everybody, welcome back. It is another episode of From the Pocket coming at you live on this Monday. I am Jake. Over there is Christian, and we are continuing our breakdown of all the teams going into 2025. Today, we got the NFC North. Very, very loaded division. Christian, how are you today? What's going on with you, my
I'm
guy?
good. I'm not too bad.
I am so excited for this division. This is such a loaded division.
Such a really good now. If Ben Johnson pops, this probably be the second best division in the league.
And to be honest, it really might, depending on how things break this year. You know, again, I know we already talked about the AFC West, but this team legitimately does have four possible playoff teams when you look at everything going on. Before we start, some housekeeping we do at the top of every episode. First, these are not predictions. We're not predicting nothing, okay? We are just previewing the teams. We're going to do our prediction episode on the Monday before the season kicks off. So right now, this is just talking about their ceiling, their floor, what we think about them, breaking them down. Other order of housekeeping, we are each picking a sleeper out of each conference. We have both picked our AFC sleepers. You picked the Jaguars, I picked the Broncos. We both owe an NFC sleeper. So, are we going to get one in this division? We shall see. But without further ado, Christian, I'm ready to talk about the NFC North.
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. Well, before, just off the top, as far as the division as a whole, I was trying to think of like a theme for this division. And the theme I came up with for this division was, this is make or break. It's make or break for basically every single team in this division in some capacity. Whether it's Super Bowl aspirations like the Lions, they've been knocking on the door the past 2 years. Whether it's the quarterback situation with Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. You know, the Vikings have had a loaded roster. They've got a new quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. They feel like maybe their time is now. The Packers probably feeling a little bit of pressure with Jordan Love. Just gave him a bunch of money last year, but they've been the 7th seed 2 years in a row, been bounced. So, make or break year. And the other thing I want to say off the rip is everybody in this division will play a much tougher schedule this year. They all have hard schedules. Everybody will play the NFC East and the AFC North. And then they will obviously play each other, which is 6 games for each. So that it's a gauntlet of a schedule for all of them. So, I think it's only fair to start with the defending NFC North champ by a hair. Very weird to say that because they won 15 games. But
franchise
by a hair,
record.
15 games, franchise record, and tied for the league leader in wins last year with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Detroit Lions. What to make of this team? So, 2024, briefly. I was very, very high on them. I thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl. I had them going to the Super Bowl. I had them probably being the first seed, so I was right on all that except the Super Bowl. Elite offensive line, elite defensive line, favorable schedule, great momentum coming out of an NFC Championship appearance the year before. Kept both their coordinators in Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. And had it not been for literally 21 people on injured reserve at one point, 21 people, I genuinely think this team would have been able to compete with the Philadelphia Eagles for this conference. The offense was historically good. They ranked top 3 in basically every offensive metric you can name. You want them to run? One of the best. You want them to throw? They got dudes that can do that. You just want a fun offense that runs insane, zany plays like throwing it to their right tackle, Penei Sewell? They'll do that too. So, Christian, 2025, going into the offseason, they obviously lost a lot, particularly in their coordinators. Prime opportunity for them to take a step back. 2 heartbreaking losses in the playoffs. What do you make of this team? And I guess more specifically, what do you make of Dan Campbell's ability to keep this team together going into this new season?
Well, I would say I think the regression narrative for this team, I think, is a bit overplayed in my opinion. Like you said, by mid-December, they had 21 players on injured reserve. That's almost a starting lineup.
Yeah.
That's almost a starting lineup of players that they missed last year. And can you tell me the one constant they had? Like, yes, they had Aaron Glenn running that defense, and they had Ben Johnson doing zany stuff on the offensive side. But can you tell me the one constant that they had last year? It was Dan Campbell. Dan
Okay.
Campbell kept them together. And I felt like with 21 players on the reserve, we should have saw that regression. I don't know a lot of teams that could overcome that, and especially with this franchise. And before Dan Campbell and was it Brad Holmes, their GM, got there, this Detroit Lions team would not have done what they accomplished last year. So I do agree. Look, are they going to win 15 games this year and be the number one seed? Probably not. They're at 10.5, but I mean, I still think they're really good. They kept a lot of players from last year. Jared Goff, their running backs with Knuckles and Sonic, Gibbs and Montgomery, like those two. Love their weapons. I like Jameson Williams. We all know Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sam Laporta's great. Aiden Hutchinson on that defense is coming back healthy. They brought over some decent talent. I will say it's a little tough. They lost their center from Frank Ragnow. They did draft a guy in the second round, guard Tate Ratledge. It was going to be, I think they were thinking about putting him at center, but he had never played center in college, so I think they're going to keep him at that guard spot. So I still think their offensive line is great. Now, look, it's going to be uphill battle. They got a tough division. They're playing a harder schedule, and new coordinators. But Dan Campbell has been, we laughed at his press conference, biting the kneecaps, but it's been phenomenal. And I didn't look at the stats, but after we all know, like Detroit, they play hard, they play physical and all that. And I didn't look at the record last year, but after you played the Lions, I think Brett Coleman said, after up until like week 7, every team had lost by at least a touchdown. So yeah, like they got a tough schedule. It's gonna be tough, but I still like their weapons. I think Jared Goff is a very good quarterback. And defensively, they're healthier, like a lot of what they have there. So I think this team is going to, yes, take a regression. They're probably not going to be number one in all the offensive metrics. And, defensively, it might take an adjustment period. But I still think this team is going to be very, very, very solid. So Dan Campbell has, I think, proven he has been a great head coach. And I like what they do in the draft. I think this team gonna take a regression, but is going to still be should still be one of the top contenders in the NFC.
I was pretty big on that regression narrative when everything kind of broke for them this offseason. But as I've done more of my research and kind of thought about it and really put it into perspective against the rest of the league, I do think it is probably a little overblown. I was genuinely thinking there was a shot this team might miss the playoffs this year.
Never in doubt, baby.
I'm not saying that. I mean, it still might happen. I could see this team winning only 9-10 games and just losing in a competitive race for a wild card spot, but probably not. I mean, it's easy to say, well, they lost Frank Ragnow, right? But the truth of the matter is 28 teams, even minus Frank Ragnow, would kill for this Lions offensive line. I mean, it is still an elite offensive line, even without Frank Ragnow. And again, you talked about Glasgow getting bumped into center. He's probably their weakest offensive lineman, but Ratledge will take over for them. They still have Penei Sewell. They still have Decker. I mean, this offensive line still has elite talent. Now, for me, the biggest concern is they did lose their coordinators, and that is very tough. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where I feel like we kind of want to have it both ways, right? Where we say, well, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are just elite-minded coaches. They're just so good at what they do, and they're going to be so transcendent in their new roles with the Bears and the Jets, respectively. But then we turn around and we say, yeah, but the Lions will be fine. Yeah, they'll be fine. They lost 2 genius coordinators, but they'll be okay. And it's like, I don't know if that's how that works. I feel like there's going to be some loss there. How big is the loss? Who knows? Yet to see. How much of that can Dan Campbell mitigate? I imagine he will be able to mitigate a lot of it. But I did want to talk about their new coordinators really quick. John Morton, we'll start with him on the offense. He was the pass game coordinator for the Broncos last year, and he was in Detroit in 2022. I thought that was kind of funny because if we recall, Dan Campbell came from the Sean Payton coaching tree.
And then you just take in Sean.
And so it's like Sean Payton and Dan Campbell just trading this dude back and forth. So I thought that was kind of funny. You also see, too, I mean, they were, in terms of receiver error and drops, they ranked number 1 in the league in a good way, right? They were the best at not doing those things. So these guys are not just talented as far as personnel goes, but they're good above the neck. So I think that experience with Jared Goff, who's going into year 5 in this system now, I really do think John Morton is not taking over a young nucleus that is inexperienced. Like, they understand. They've been there. They've been in big games. So I think some of those struggles are going to be mitigated. And then Kelvin Shepherd, I think he's probably going to try to get the team sack total up. I did love that they addressed the interior of their defensive line with Tyleik Williams in the first round. Probably would have liked him to go on and get a pass rusher a little more.
Yeah, to help out. I mean, but Aiden Hutchinson, he got hurt in like week 5, week 6 of the season.
Yeah.
And I think through those weeks, he was like number 1 in pressure rate or something like that.
He was Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, through 5 weeks, if the season ended then, he would have won Defensive Player of the Year. And I get it. You say, look, Aiden Hutchinson's available. He's young, freak injury. Not probably going to happen again, knock on wood. But if Aiden Hutchinson is unavailable to go even for like a week or two, I really feel like bolstering up that pass rush and being not just saying Aiden Hutchinson's got it. I just feel like that would have been a lot better of an approach. I'm never going to say, I mean, they still addressed their defensive line. It wasn't a pass rusher, but I'm never going to say no to addressing your defensive line no matter how you do it, or offensive line. But their pass rush was a challenge. Depth was a challenge for them. They had obviously the freak issue with the injuries, but nevertheless, I personally would have liked them to have gone out and addressed that a little heavier. But so with that in mind, Christian, going to their offseason, I want you to tell me what were some of the things you really liked that they did in this offseason, and are there any losses that you are actually concerned about?
I mean, obviously, number 1, Frank Ragnow, your center position that has been there since 2018. That's a big one. Kevin Zeitler, their right guard. Carlton Davis. I do like the DJ Reed signing. That was their big signing, $16 million. Brought in a few other corners, Avonte Maddox and Rock Ya-Sim, to help out their cornerback room. Their cornerback room is not great. Toronto Arnold, had a rough season last year, and they had a lot of injuries there for corner. So hopefully these additions, that'll help that room out. And hopefully if they do suffer some injuries, they'll have guys that they can replace. So I like those. And I mean, their safety positions are like chef's kiss. I love like Kirby Joseph. And then I love Brian Branch. I think has been a phenomenal pick. So I like their safeties there. I trust what they can do with Tate Ratledge for their guard there. They drafted Penei Sewell. He's been awesome. So I'm trusting that. Yeah, I'm trusting their GM. I think they've been crushing it at the draft, so I'm trusting him too. So I like that the additions that they made. It's just, this is going to be, you're playing a much harder schedule, and you're, that division, I think everyone should be better, sort of, kind of. We'll talk about those, but I mean, it's going to be a tough sledding for them. I will say that. For sure.
I do love what their defensive line has. I mean, they still have DJ Reader bringing in, again, Tyleik Williams, Aiden Hutchinson coming back. Their linebacker core is also great. Jack Campbell, they drafted him in round 1 a few years ago. Again, I just, side note, I'm sorry, I just love how, I remember that draft when it was like they took Jahmyr Gibbs and everybody went, what are you doing? And then they took Jack Campbell, and everybody went, guys, what is this? And then they came and took Brian Branch in the second round, and everybody was like, yeah, that was a pretty good pick. Okay, Brian Branch is solid. And it's
these
like,
guys are all
of them are among
contributors.
top players at their positions, right? And again, I agree. Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, I mean, that is the best safety tandem in the NFL. I don't think there is one better. I was a little higher on Terrion Arnold than you. I thought his rookie season was up and down.
Well, I'm looking at his grade. It was rough. I think he was the one that always was giving up touchdowns from last year.
Yeah, and
it was rough. He got picked on a lot.
He did get picked on, but it was also there wasn't a ton of help back there for him in the cornerback area. And then again, obviously all the injuries. I mean, it's when you can't get pressure or your linebackers can't cover as well because you're third, fourth strings deep into your depth there. There's only so long you can expect your rookie cornerback to cover. But, I mean, they did bring in DJ Reed, as you said, to line up on the other side of him. So I think that's really – I really love the addition of DJ Reed. I think that's kind of that to me is really the addition that takes this secondary over the top from being like – you have a good secondary to like, oh, wait, is this like immediately one of the 5 best secondaries in the NFL right now? And again, I mean, Ennis Rackstraw, they drafted last year, and Amik Robertson are going to be there too. So I really do like, I mean, every level of this defense has guys on it. It has had guys on it, though, is the frustrating part. They just all got hurt last year, and they were bailing water. So it's really, I want to kind of segue to the conclusion of this too, because again, like, there's really not a lot to say bad about this team, right? I mean, it's literally just take your pick. What do you want? You want solid quarterback play? They got a top 12 guy. You want great weapons? Jameson Williams is getting better and better every year. Amon-Ra St. Brown is among the elite players in the league at his position. Jahmyr Gibbs is obviously awesome. Sam Laporta is a top 5 tight end. And it's like, what about defense? What do they got on defense? It's like, oh, yeah, they have possibly the best pass rusher in the league this side of Myles Garrett when he's healthy. They have a great linebacker. They have the best safety tandem. Like, I mean, they got studs everywhere. It's just, can they stay healthy and can they transition from these new coordinators to, keep themselves where they're supposed to be? But I do agree with you. I mean, somebody can do it. If somebody can do it, it's that bastard man over there in Dan Campbell. Man, I wish the Cowboys had signed him. We almost signed him, is what the rumors
what's crazy?
were. 2015. He was the Dolphins guy in 2015.
Now, you could say he was inexperienced at that moment, but from what Brett Coleman was saying when he was talking about the Lions, apparently like players and like people in the building loved him. I don't know why they didn't keep him, and the guy who we brought in next, Adam Gase.
The biggest drop off ever. Like, that's insane.
So I mean, yeah, it sucks. We could have maybe had him, but maybe he wasn't ready just yet.
Well, it's also like hindsight's 2020, right? Like, you got a guy that everybody loves, and it's like, okay, 95% of the time, that does not work, right? Like, think about Antonio Pierce. All the guys loved him. He's a culture builder. Like, they thought Antonio Pierce could have been their Dan Campbell, and they're like, we're not letting our Dan Campbell leave. And then everything falls apart, and even then, like, the inexperience of Dan Campbell, Dan Campbell was on the hot seat at one point, but until the end of the 2022 season, that second half when they went on that run, I mean, halfway through the season, people were like, Dan Campbell's probably getting fired. Like, this is not going well. And then they made that run, beat the Packers at the end, had momentum, and then the rest has been history. So, but what is their ceiling? What is their floor? Go ahead.
I mean, ceiling, I think, should be like 8-9, 9-8. They golly, let's look at this schedule right here.
It's bad. I would prefer we didn't.
I mean, look, 2 division games off the back is crazy. They opened up against the Packers on the road. Then they play Chicago. Then week 3 they play the Ravens
in Baltimore.
Baltimore,
where elite teams go to get blown out.
Week 5 they go on the road week 5 and 6 on the road and into Cincinnati and Kansas City back to back. That's insane.
Oh, but it's okay. They get the Bucks next week.
But then they get the Bucks.
That's okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Then they come back with the Vikings. I think the Vikings will be solid. We'll talk about them. The Commanders, a little revenge. Now, we know Dan Campbell loves to hold a grudge.
Oh, no.
We'll see how that goes.
Oh, that's going to be bad.
Then they got to play the Eagles on the road after that. So they're coming off their week 8 bye. They got 3 tough games, 2 road games. And then, they get the Giants, okay, but then they got the Packers again, then Dallas, the Rams, Steelers, and Vikings, and they end their season with Chicago. So
not a lot of gimmies.
So 8-9 floor, I think, missing the playoffs, obviously with 8-9. Ceiling, God, they're at 10.5. That's a lot. I would stay away from this.
I would stay away from their over-under, too. No idea. 100%. 100%.
Ceiling, I mean, maybe 10-7, 11-6, making the NFC Championship game. I don't think this team is going to make the Super Bowl. I mean, because I feel like they've just... they're still in this window, but... I don't know. I felt like if you're not going to do it this year, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Because I feel like last year was like their moment.
It was.
They played very well offensively. Like Dan Campbell improved. It was crazy. How much they improved from 2023 to 2024. It was insane. But yeah, just those injuries caught up to him late in the season. So, I mean, it might be disappointing to Detroit Lions fans. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think their floor is also probably 8-9, 9-8. But again, like the floor, that is if everything falls out of the sky. And to have a team that it's like the worst you're gonna be is 8-9, 9-8. I mean, I think that is really complimentary of what this team is. I mean, that's a very high floor. That said, for me, this team's ceiling is the Super Bowl. I mean, it has to be. Like, if you're looking at what teams have the roster, have the personnel, have the coaching capable of making a run, this is one of those teams. It just is. I mean, elite offensive line play. In theory, really great defensive line play if they stay healthy. Awesome secondary. They can run the ball. They have a quarterback with experience. They have a coach with experience. And they've been in the playoffs now 2 straight years. So, it's not like they're going to get to the playoffs and the lights are going to be bright. Like, they're going to know what they need to do. So, do I think they can get there? I'm a little iffy on 2 new coordinators getting
work for
there.
the Eagles.
It did work for the Eagles. It did. That's a very good point. That said, again, like...
But back-to-back, yeah, that just sounds crazy.
I really do think Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn were, like, brilliant at what they did. And the idea that we're just going to waltz in and replace them is just so odd to me. So I feel like this is like maybe a 10-7, 11-6 team. I think obviously they'll be in competition for their division. We'll talk about who we think will win their division at another date, but nevertheless, I think they'll be in that dance. I think this team will make the playoffs. I mean, I don't think I'll be shocked if they miss the playoffs. I do think it'll be one of the most shocking things that happens this season, but I'm kind of preparing myself for it. Like,
they're down year.
They just have a down year, a harder schedule. Stuff takes a little longer to get going than it might have with their new coordinators and finding their footing. And again, this schedule is brutal. I mean, there are no gimmies. There are no gimmies in this schedule. So,
I mean, their easiest games are like the Browns,
the Giants, the Cowboys.
The Cowboys, and we'll see what the Steelers.
I mean, you might sweep the Bears. You might, maybe. You might sweep the Packers. I don't know how you feel about the Vikings, but it's tough. It's tough. So, good news is all of your division is going through this.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about them, Christian. The Minnesota Vikings. This roster, incredibly talented.
Yes.
A lot of early draft picks, and they were very, very busy in free agency.
Haven't hit on all of them.
Haven't hit on all of them, no, especially the late rounders, but that's okay. You hit a couple of the early rounders, you fill out the rest of your roster. But really quick, 2024, we know the story. 14-3.
Yes, we do.
5th seed, 14-3. Missed the division crown because they lost to, at the time, the 14-2 Detroit Lions in the last game of the season, who then became 15-2. Sam Darnold had a magical year. Brian Flores said, "What if we blitzed every play?" It ended with them getting bounced in round 1 by the Rams. Head coach Kevin O'Connell is now 0-2 in the playoffs, despite some very 2 out of his 3 seasons in the regular season have been just absolutely stellar. And now moving into 2025, they have added a lot of new guys. Most importantly, not a new addition, but J.J. McCarthy is going to be getting the start. Drafted him last year in round 1. He was out all season with an injury, and now he will take over the starting role of quarterback. So big transition year. They've set up their roster well, I think. And Christian, I have an announcement to make.
Go ahead.
The Minnesota Vikings are my sleeper team in the NFC.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't hate that. I really don't. I don't hate this. I think this roster is pretty good. I think he's set up pretty nicely. He has just some guy. Have you heard of Justin Jefferson? You ever heard of that guy?
I have a passing familiarity with him. I don't know a lot about him. I haven't seen him a lot.
I don't know. Jordan Addison, like him.
Pretty good.
I think he's a really good TJ Hawkinson, tight end. Not like top 10.
He's like a top 7 tight end.
Yeah, right there. Aaron Jones, I think they'll be solid. And they brought in 3 new offensive linemen to help support him. Even drafted a guy in the first round, guard Donovan Jackson. And but to go back to it, I really like this team. I think JJ McCarthy is set up pretty nicely. I mean, he has the praises of Brett Coleman, which I think goes a long way. And I like this roster a lot. I mean, is it gonna be much of a regression if the Vikings go 10-7, 9-8, maybe get in the playoffs, and JJ McCarthy struggles a little bit? I don't think that would be aggression in my opinion, because this is his rookie year. Now he did get to go a whole year and see the process, learned under Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell, the success they had with Sam Darnold. They used a lot of motion and they were very good on early downs. JJ McCarthy, I think, is set up to succeed here a lot. Now, are there going to be some struggles? Yeah, probably. I mean, he is practically a rookie, but I mean, he's throwing to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson was a solid tight end. So I think offensively they will be fine. I am a little worried that the running game. That's probably their weakest point. So hopefully they can get that going. But I mean, they were really good at going play action.
Yeah,
I think, and they didn't have a solid run game. So I think, they kind of challenged that notion that you need a good run game to run play action. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be fun. I like this team. Now defensively, I do worry about this team. As we know, you said, Brian Flores loves to blitz the hell out of teams. But I think now that we've gotten our solid year under, Brian, I know it's his 3rd year, but now teams gotten more tape on them. And we saw with the teams that were more used to his system of, hey, we're just going to blitz you a shit ton and, pressure your quarterback. But you see the teams that didn't struggle against him were very familiar with that team, with the way, Brian Flores wants to run defense. So I think defensively they'll probably take a step back, but I still like this team overall. They're not going to win 14 games and, challenge to be the number one. You can go ahead and say that, Jake. You can go ahead and say that. You can have that opinion. That's on you. But if I see if this team goes 9-8, 10-7, make the playoffs, I'm fine with that. I think, and I do think JJ McCarthy is going to be better than Sam Darnold. Like,
see, I feel like a lot of the skepticism about JJ McCarthy has been very much overblown. I feel like, people say, oh, well, he's not having the best camp. First off, from what I understand, his camp has been decent. Like, it's not been overwhelming. It's been pretty solid. He's having ups and downs, which, first-time player at the NFL level you expect. But he's also, I know you're skeptical about this defense, but he's also playing a defense that is hyper-aggressive.
They do. And a quick thing, it's preseason.
Oh.
Like, you're supposed to, like what was it last year? Oh, Dak, he's throwing all these interceptions. It's like, it's preseason. You're not supposed to be checking the ball down. Throw that thing.
I remember there was a story about Phil Simms and Bill Parcells back in the 80s when they were with the Giants. And Phil Simms was like in practice checking it down and playing the short game. And Bill Parcells came up to him and said, throw the ball deep. He's like, stop worrying about your stats. So I kind of sympathize with what you're saying there. But nevertheless, this was a defense that blitzed second most in the league last year. And to your point, also the play action, they were 7th in play action percentage. So they're going to do a lot of play action. I agree with you completely about the running situation. That was the one area this team was not that good in last year, was running the ball. They're actually below league average. That said, they did bring in Jordan Mason, so I think that's going to help their run game a little bit, get them depth. They also brought in, Ryan Kelly and Will Freeze, who are really, really good run blocking linemen. I mean, that's really where they excel when you look at their kind of skill set for the most part, especially Will Freeze. But I am confident that they will be able to do that. And I also do really like this defense. I hear what you're saying about maybe they will take a step back, but they went and added Jonathan Allen and they added Javon Hargrave. They have Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, both coming off of double-digit sack seasons. They're going to blitz. They're going to blitz a lot, and they got the guys to do it. And then you look at this linebacking core with Blake Cashman and Ivan Pace. Maybe Philly has it, but I don't know if when you look at the combination of linebackers and defensive linemen, like the front 7 as a whole, I think there's a real argument that the Vikings are number 1 in the league in front 7, just in terms of their talent. Maybe there's a couple that you can think of here and there that you might make the argument. The Steelers come to mind. The Eagles, again, obviously.
Yeah.
But
I know they lost a lot, but I mean, Jalen Carter's
they got Jahad Campbell, too. And that dude, I have an opinion on Jahad Campbell that we will get into when we talk about the Eagles, but it's a very fun. I think Eagles fans will be very happy to hear the opinion. I digress. Blake Cashman, absolute animal. Missed some time last year, but he's one of the best linebackers in the league. He was vital to this coverage scheme that they do, because again, they're blitzing and they're kind of leaving that middle open so they can drop back in coverage. And so you have to have a guy like Blake Cashman just playing that whole field, and he does it really, really well. So excited about that. And then Ivan Pace, undrafted in 2023, but he has just been a stud at rush defense and pass rushing. So the secondary, they did lose Cam Bynum to the Colts. Kind of funny. Yeah, Ryan Kelly and Will Freeze come from the Colts, and then Cam Bynum goes to the Colts. So there wasn't a trade there. It's just, I guess, how it worked in free agency. But Cam Bynum is a big loss. Byron Murphy is back after a stellar season. He really found his footing. And they brought in Isaiah Rodgers, who really good corner, solid, solid corner. And they have Jeff Okudah, which we'll see how Jeff Okudah does. We'll see how he does. He's obviously had a little bit of a rough go at it since he entered the league, 3rd overall. But they also got Mekhi Blackman back there chilling. So retained Harrison Smith as well. It's really cool. I cannot believe Harrison Smith is still hanging out.
I was looking at it. I was like, Smith?
That's not Harrison Smith, is it? No,
and he's still 12. God, he's going in his 13th season. He's drafted in 2012.
Yeah. But I mean, just looking at this team overall, I just really love so much. I mean, their offensive line, top of the league, one of the top lines. Their defensive line and their front 7 as a whole, among the best as well. They got guys in secondary. They got the defensive coordinator that puts it together. They have an offensive-minded head coach that has been awesome at winning games, and in particular, winning close games. You look at how many games they won his first season. It was the whole thing, right? The Vikings are like, whatever.
Undefeated
in one possession games or something. And then last year, I think they won 9 out of 10. So at some point, we have to just say,
can't keep getting away.
Yeah, like at some point, we kind of just have to call it what it is and say, look, this guy is just they're just doing it. So I get the JJ McCarthy concern, and again, that's why I think there probably is a little bit of a hard ceiling on this team, unless we're about to come out and get the second coming of Patrick Mahomes, which I hope if we do, if we do, this team is going to be historically good, but probably won't happen. But I mean, there have been teams that have been loaded up that have gone very far with even rookie quarterbacks, right? The Seahawks with Russell Wilson made it to the divisional. We just saw
Jaden Daniels.
I mean, that was more of a Jaden Daniels story than it was a Washington story. But Joe Flacco back in 2008 got to the AFC Championship. Ben Roethlisberger, his rookie season, got to the AFC Championship. The Cowboys with Dak went 13-3. They didn't win a playoff game, but they were the number 1 seed. You know, Mark Sanchez with the Jets got to the AFC Championship as a rookie.
True.
So it is not unheard of. I mean, and it's happened quite frequently where a team is really, really good and they have a rookie kind of quarterback. And again, he's not even a rookie. Like he has been around this team for a year. He has been getting mental reps. He's been in the building. Like if he's a rookie, fine, but he has an advantage over a lot of other rookies that we're talking about this year.
Yeah. Well, like this ain't the NBA. Like this man ain't gonna win a offensive rookie of the year. If he plays well, but I said, I do like the fact that he got a year of like what it's like to go through the schedule, what it's like to prepare and stuff. But I mean, it's a lot different than practice and going full speed in a game. So his first year of real NFL like competition is going to be interesting to watch.
Well, with that in mind, Christian, let's go ahead and talk about it. Floor and ceiling. Obviously, this is my sleeper team. I'm very high on them. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is going to be a liability for them. I fully think the ceiling for this team, I won't say Super Bowl. I don't know if the ceiling is Super Bowl unless, again, we just get a version of J.J. McCarthy that is just like, whoa. He is an immediate superstar kind of performance from J.J. McCarthy. But NFC Championship, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's crazy to me because this team legitimately has, I would argue, and this is going to sound crazy maybe, behind Philadelphia, I think they have the best roster in the NFC. I mean, I really do. Like, I mean, they check every single elite offensive line. They have elite defensive line.
I think,
I get it, but they got Justin Jefferson too. Like that takes off that's gonna fix. I don't think people when you can just tell your young quarterback, just throw it to that guy. It does not matter. Just throw it to him, and he will make it work. That is and then again you can get and the key is this run game, right? If they get the run game going,
they need that run game going.
That's their ceiling. That's how they get their ceiling. They get the run game going, and J.J. McCarthy is pretty good. That's how they get their ceiling. I mean, it's not that many ifs. It's not that many. Now, if
a lot of ifs in that statement, Jake.
The if here goes like this for their floor, right? Their floor to me is probably 8 and 9.
Yeah,
maybe 7 and 10 if J.J. McCarthy really, really, really struggles and like they can't run the ball. And as you said, Brian Flores' defense takes a step back because, hey, that scheme was really, really cute for a year, but we know what you're doing now and we know how to stop it. I could see this team struggling, especially in, again, a brutal schedule, a very, very tough division. I mean, we talk about their schedule really quick. I mean, it's not too bad. They open up against Chicago, but I mean, they got Cincinnati. They play Philly. They play the Chargers. They play the Ravens. I mean, they still got the Cowboys, Detroit twice, obviously Green Bay twice. So it's not a great, easy schedule. And again, they're in Green Bay in November, like late November. So that's gonna be a cold game. You talk about the Lions, they at least get to play the Packers in September in Green Bay. So even that's a little bit of a disadvantage. But I am very bullish on this team. I very much am. I don't know, Christian. How do you feel about their floor? And where do you think you've talked about their floor? Where do you think they can end up if everything lines up well?
Yeah, I mean, I think ceiling. I wouldn't go. I mean, if everything was going right, I still wouldn't put it in the AFC Championship. But I mean,
NFC.
I've seen great NFC Championship. But I mean, again, we just saw Jaden Daniels do that. I think maybe like a close game of the divisional. Maybe they wild card. They get a good matchup, and JJ McCarthy isn't as too much to do in the game, and then probably the divisional tougher competition. We see him struggle, and they get bounced. For the record wise ceiling, the 8.5. I would bet the I don't know.
I'm
Stay
smashing
away
the
from,
over, baby. I'm
you're
smashing
smashing
it.
it
Oh, I'm
over. I
smashing it
maybe
over.
stay away. I'll probably stay away from this. Ceiling. I think 9-8, 10-7. So I mean, I still wouldn't touch it. I'm just a little nervous, like you said. Like we've been saying, they got a tough schedule. But I mean, hey, like we've been talking about this whole time, like this team, this roster's pretty good. It's
It's
pretty
pretty
good.
good. It's pretty good. I genuinely think it's one of the best rosters in the entire conference. And it's crazy to me. I mean, I get that, the power of the quarterback is crazy. And people are not that, they're kind of treating J.J. McCarthy like the X factor. We don't know where he'll end up. So I understand it, but it's just when I see this team being put at like third or fourth place, like it's a secondary thought, like, well, we know the Vikings are not, like, nobody's picking this team to win the division. I think this team very well could win this division. Very, very well could. And
I mean, we saw it last year. We both, when it was announced that Sam Darnold was going to be taking over the season, we were like, oh yeah, this is going to be third place, maybe fourth place Vikings, and then they came out and surprised everyone and won 14 games. And
you got to think they probably resent the Lions, right? It's like, man, not only did y'all take the 1 seed from us, but y'all couldn't even beat the Commanders at home with the 1 seed. Come on, what do y'all
all
want?
right,
So, all right, let's move on to our third team, the Green Bay Packers. I don't think Packers fans would disagree with me on this. I think last season was very disappointing. It was tough because, they lost 6 games last year, and of their 6 games, 5 of them were in their division. They went 1-5 in division. The other one, obviously, to the Eagles. They had injuries to Jordan Love early. That wasn't great. They had a terrible receiving core. They were not able to get great pass rush against really upper tier teams. But they had Xavier McKinney, who was awesome. Josh Jacobs was a stud. Matt LaFleur is still a really good coach. They built their team well, and it was good enough to win 11 games and go to the playoffs again. Now, back-to-back 7th seed landing spots is not great, especially, the first year you kind of are like, okay, we struggled the first half. Jordan Love comes alive. We sneak in. Last year, you should not be competing for the 7th seed. Last year should have been the year you really took a step forward, and they didn't. So with all of that, I'll let you go ahead, Christian. What do you want to see from this team?
I mean, it obviously number one thing we need starts off with the quarterback. We need Jordan Love to play better. I will say though, I think Jordan Love needs a little bit of slack, just a little bit, not a whole bunch, but just a little bit.
Oh, I'm gonna roast you for that. Nah, I'm kidding.
I'm not in love. I'm like, don't get me wrong. I'm not in love with Love. Not like, don't get me
I'm
wrong.
not in love.
I admit he's like a bottom tier 2 quarterback in this league. I'm not gonna argue that. But like there is some context there that I think should be explored a little bit. I know this is technically his 6th year, but this is his 3rd year as a starting quarterback. Like, let's just keep that. Now, last year he was dealing with some injuries. Week 1 came back early in week 4 versus the Vikings. That was, and then they fell down early. Obviously, he didn't look good. After that, they rattled off some wins, and then they played the Jags in week 8, which he suffered a groin injury, and he left in the 3rd quarter. Wasn't spectacular in these games. He was doing enough to get them over the hump. I think we can look at it a little bit in advanced stats from the Warren Sharp report. Pre-bye, we were negative 0.1 on EPA per attempt. We were 44% in success rate, 7.6 yards per attempt, 61% completion. Now, post bye in week 11, we were plus 0.2 in EPA per attempt. We were 49% success rate. We were 8.5 yards per attempt. We were 65% completion. And numbers wise, what that kind of looks like was pre-bye. It was 21st, 17th, 12th, and 32nd. And then the post-bye, number 5, number 9, number 2, and number 17. But Christian, he was still throwing picks, and when he came from the bye, yes, he needs to fix that. Like, that is unexcusable. But let's also look. Jake, you already mentioned it. Receiving core was not great. Ranked number 1 in receiving error last season. 22% of his incompletions were due to receiving error. I think that's a big factor. Like that, like not a lot of quarterbacks have to deal with that. And another thing, they played the 6th toughest schedule versus the pass. This year they're coming up against the projected 16th toughest schedule versus the pass. So hopefully that should like his numbers should be better coming into this next season. I will say this third year is like a big year for him. Like he needs to cut down on the interceptions and play more within this offense. You got Josh Jacobs back there. So I think with a healthier Jordan Love and more of a, hopefully they got in his head this offseason and him struggling so much of like, hey bro, you ain't gotta do all that. You're not Brett Favre. You're not him, bro.
Yeah, tell him that. No, it's look, I was very much ready to come in here and flame Jordan Love, and I still will do it.
You have a great argument. Like I can't defend all of it, but I just wanted to lay out some not excuses, but some things that deserve a little.
I agree.
Deserve a little talking point.
I will say this offense. We saw it last year. This was a team that was scared to give the ball to Jordan Love. Now, again, I know some of that is like it's not all that we're scared to give it to Jordan Love. It's also that we are scared to give it to our receivers because we know they won't catch the ball. So I kind of feel that to a degree, right? Like I understand that, but the data don't lie. He had in his first 7 games as a full-time starter for the team, he had 250 attempts. In the last 7 games, he had 176 attempts. He went down from 28 passes or so a game to 23. And that was intentional because they were saying...
Hey, we over here complain about Jalen Hurts.
I have a whole short on that, buddy. Everybody go check out our Instagram or TikTok page. Go watch that. That's exactly what I said. I was like, he had identical passing attempts to Jalen Hurts in the last 7 games of their seasons. And everybody talking about Jalen Hurts doesn't throw it enough. Nobody says that about Jordan Love. So, I digress, though. I don't want to, like, receivers are bad. Yes, I get that. He still had Josh Jacobs, who was a stud last year, 1,300 yards. He had a great offensive line. He has Matt LaFleur. Like, he has a lot of help, and while I can't really help him with his receivers dropping passes, what I can help is the fact that this dude will constantly make boneheaded decisions week in and week out. And it's like, how long do we need to see until you stop doing that? Because, I mean, again, I get that it's only his 3rd year as a starter, but he's been in this system for 5 years going into year 6. And it's like, at some point, I need you to clean it up, dude. I need you to clean this up. You have great coaching. You have a great run game. You have time to throw. And I will also say this. This is a little bit of a knock on Packers fans. I'm sorry, Packers Nation. I got to call you out. Everybody last year, if your name wasn't Dan Orlovsky, knew your receiving core was not good. We all said it. We all looked at your receiving core and said, you have a bunch of 2s and 3s, y'all. You do not have a 1. And you all told us it didn't matter because, well, we have so many of them, though. There's so many. We have so much depth, and we have like 18 tight ends. And we all said, guys, y'all do not have a number 1. And it's like, does Minnesota really have a better receiving core than us? It's like, yeah, they have Justin Jefferson. It's like, I don't know. It's like, y'all are dumb. And now we're at the end of the year. And I get, like, Packers fans are not out here sycophantically defending Jordan Love. They're not sitting out here, like, they acknowledge this dude needs to clean his shit up. I don't understand what his problem is. But, like, part of why you pay a quarterback the way you pay Jordan Love, which is a manageable contract. I'm not pretending it's not. The AAV is a little misleading, but you give Jordan Love as much money as he got because you have confidence that he can win without those guys around him. And he couldn't. Now again, can't really help when dudes are just dropping passes. Like it's not really a Jordan Love problem. But I do think it speaks volumes that, like, with Aaron Rodgers for a decade and a half, Aaron Rodgers like, can we get a receiver? And they're like, bro, we don't need a receiver. You're gonna go out there and throw for 40 touchdowns. We don't need a receiver. We need to build our line. We need to be able to run the ball. Maybe sometimes we don't even care about running the ball because they didn't care about running the ball for years in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. And we need to get defensive players. That's what we need. And now they've seen 2 years of Jordan Love, and they're like, we need to get him another receiver. We need to get him one. And it was the right move. I was glad they did it, and it was a great moment at the draft because it happened in Green Bay as the first receiver they drafted. Everybody's crying. It was an amazing moment. I'm not knocking that, but like, you see what they think of Jordan Love. They say Jordan Love needs help. We'll go get him a receiver. We're gonna throw the ball less for Jordan Love. We'll go get Josh Jacobs. Like, this is not. Jordan Love is a good quarterback. Like, I'm not saying he's not. He's been to the playoffs back-to-back years as a starter. Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that are not as good as Jordan Love, and maybe they even have more talent around them than Jordan Love does, and they don't get done what Jordan Love does. Like, I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback, but I do think we need to be a little more realistic on Jordan Love. And we need to understand, I got Bill Simmons out here calling him a top 8 quarterback. What am I supposed to do with that?
I ain't saying all that.
What am I supposed to do with that? So, as you said, Jalen Reed, dead last in incompletions caused by receiver error. Dontavian Wicks was one spot above that. Christian Watson has been very, very disappointing. He has missed time for his 3rd season in a row. Do you know how many? He played in 15 games last year. 15 games. You know how many receptions he had in 15 games?
I bet it's embarrassing. I'll say 50. 40? 30.
29. 29 receptions in 15 games.
And started, or he was a starter, right?
Yeah, I think so. We can double check that, but
he played in 15 games.
He played in 15 games, and he got 29 receptions last year. Yeah, started 15 games, 29 receptions, 620 yards, 2 touchdowns.
How many?
And here's a little fun fact for you. It wasn't even his worst year as a starter. I mean, well, he got hurt in 2023. He missed half the season, but like, he had 28 receptions the year before. He had his career high is 41 receptions. Like, they were trotting this guy out like he's going to be our one. Just you watch.
I mean, I thought he had good promise when, with Aaron and stuff like that.
Well, so let's segue here. Again, they got a bunch of 2s and 3s, right? If Matthew Golden is a 1, they can slide when Watson does come back from injury. They can slide him at 2. Or, I mean, even Jalen Reed has a step up and he's okay. Romeo Doubs is pretty decent. Like, again, they have a lot of guys that you're like, it's a jumble of like some good guys, but like nobody that's there to like be the one, to be the alpha, to take the top off. So Aaron Banks was signed. Iffy guard, I guess. We'll see. I'm a little skeptical, but it's at least he's going into a pretty good offensive line, so we'll see. Anthony Belton was drafted in the 2nd round as well. So, and obviously, as you said, Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. I was a little disappointed that they did not draft higher for their defensive line. Their defensive line, that was a mistake to me. Like, on paper, it should be awesome, but it was also like the weakest point of the team in a way. They also lost TJ Shelton, which, not a huge loss, but a rotational piece. I'm cautiously optimistic that the defensive line will be improved, though. I just think they need to be able to stay healthy. Rashawn Gary, though, he's been getting steadily worse as time's gone on. Kenny Clark is older. And Lucas Van Ness, I mean, they picked him in the 1st round a few years ago. He has just not lived up to billing. He has been incredibly disappointing up to this point. Now, I do want to address this. You look at their pressure rate data, It ranked top 10 by a lot of metrics. But that was against a lot of bad offenses. The Titans, Texans, Jags, Bears, 49ers, Dolphins, Seahawks, Saints, and Bears again. Against those teams, their pressure rate was 37.3%, which would be near top of the league. And they were 8-1 against those teams. The rest, Lions twice, Vikings twice, Eagles, Colts, Rams, Cardinals. That rate drops to 28%, which would be around bottom 5 of the league. So I'm cautiously optimistic that if they can stay healthy, they'll get a little better. But above all else, the reason I think they'll be better is because they got Edge fucking Cooper. This dude is an animal. I am so excited to see what this dude very well may be the best linebacker in the league after this year. I mean, he really is like, he's like their Micah Parsons. I mean, he really is. He's versatile. He's a great tackler. He has a nose for the ball. He's an athletic freak. He's a real Swiss Army knife. I mean, he really does remind me of Micah. They got him in the second round. He was a rookie last year, just lighting it up.
I mean, Pro Football Focus has him graded pretty well.
What do they have him at?
He was 5th overall in all linebackers with an 85.6 grade.
Okay. I'm
had
so
a
glad.
90 grade in pass rush. So yeah, I think Pro Football Focus likes him likes him a lot too. So
I mean, he is going to be the heartbeat of this defense next year. And really, I mean, again, like, you see the effect Micah Parsons has on the Cowboys defense. Like, if Edge Cooper can have that kind of effect on their defense, I mean, this defense is going to take a real step forward. So that's a little bit of why I'm a lot more optimistic about their pass rush this year. I think hopefully they get a little they get a little better with injury luck. And Edge Cooper, I think, if he really just continues to progress the way he is, holy moly, that guy is awesome. Do you feel like they adequately addressed their needs this offseason?
I would give them maybe like a C+, B-. Not all their needs were, I think, met, but I do think they did try. Like we said, they got a guard in the second round. They drafted a first round receiver, drafted 2 receivers, one in the first round. I do like your point about the defensive line. I wish they would have went more, hit that in free agency or in the draft. But I mean, I like this team. Like, I think they're well coached. I really love Matt LaFleur. So yeah, I think with a year now under their defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley under his belt, you talked about Cooper, McKinney playing well last year. I do think they should be better. I think he'll have a better defensive unit out there. They'll be together a little bit more. Defensive line is an issue that it's going to be interesting to see, but they were pretty good at stopping the run last year. So it's going to be they, as we know, we've been talking about it all day. Tough division, tough games coming up. Like I said, I do love this coaching staff. They're very well coached. But yeah, I think Jordan Love is we need him to play well, and I think that can be maybe not to win the division, but maybe get out of their 7th seed woes.
I agree, and I'm glad you brought up Xavier McKinney. That dude coming from the Giants, I mean, he was borderline defensive player of the year candidate last year. He was so good for this defense. 8 picks, 1 off from the league leader. They did lose Jair Alexander, but they did sign Nate Hobbs, so,
Alexander is, I think, kind of running his course.
I was surprised they kept him around because I remember after 2023, everybody was like, well, Jair Alexander's gone. And then he stayed for another year. But nevertheless, Javon Bullard and Evan Williams coming into year 2, so that should be interesting. So they really do have some nice flexibility in their secondary. I do think if the defensive line can really find its footing and they can get some assistance from that linebacking core with Quay Walker and Edge Cooper, I really do think that's going to help this secondary a lot, and I think you'll see the secondary much improved. So I agree. I am optimistic about this team. I feel this was a team that, like, going into it, I felt like 9-8, but as I have done more research, this team is really a lot better than it may feel like they are to maybe the casual outsider or somebody who's just not that plugged into the Packers. This is an 11-6 team. Like, this really is an 11-6 team. They were 11-6 last year, so maybe Packers fans don't want to hear that. But, like, again, you're going to have a tougher schedule this year. You have a rookie receiver coming in. You have, you're in a little bit of a transition period at this point with this core, which it's a really positive transition. I think it's going to be for the better, and I really do think, they've already got Jordan Love signed. Like, I really think this team's window is for the next 3 to 4 years at this point, where they can really take advantage of this core they have, because, they're still a very young team. So if I'm a Packers fan, I'm optimistic. It does feel weird, because it to me does kind of feel like you're like, well, so why can't we go win a Super Bowl? Like, what is it? What are we lacking? And to tell you the truth, I don't know. I'm skeptical of Jordan Love. I just don't trust Jordan Love to get it done consistently in big spots. This team is at like a 500 record in one possession games over the past 2 years. Do I trust this defensive line to improve so much that, like, you're going to be coming in clutch when you're playing the Vikings or the Lions, who both have great offensive lines, or even the Bears? The Bears might have a top tier offensive line this year too. Like, I don't know. I think y'all can eat against bad teams, but I'm skeptical. This team really does remind me of the Cowboys with better quarterback play. Like, if the Cowboys had Aaron Rodgers, they probably would have gotten to a Super Bowl, Like, that's what they are. They're the Cowboys with better quarterback play. They have great regular seasons with superstar quarterback, and then they miss the Super Bowl. They get to the NFC Championship, maybe. They get bounced to the divisional. I digress. I think with Jordan Love, you're just the Cowboys. That's a long way to say. I think you're going to win. You're probably going to get a wild card spot, and then you're going to get bounced in wild card of the divisional. Like, that's just going to be your destiny with Jordan Love, unfortunately, which, hey, maybe I'm a hater, but that's how I feel. I don't know, Christian, what do you think? I guess I just said what their ceiling is. I think their floor is like 9-8. Like, I just don't see them being, they're just too good. They're just a solid team. They're just a really solid team. What do you think their floor and ceiling are?
Floor, like you said, 9-8, maybe 8-9 if things go very, very badly and Jordan Love just falls in love at throwing it in the air, throwing it to the other team. Ceiling, yeah, like you said, 11-6, 10-7. Maybe getting bounced in the divisional. Maybe they can get out of the wild card. But yeah, very solid team. I like the roster. There's good players all around. But yeah, I think, it's just Jordan Love, not in love with him.
Yeah, me neither. I will say, like, to be optimistic, if Jordan Love does pop and it's like, oh, wow, okay, we got the top 5 version of Jordan Love this year, like, then yeah, this is a 13-win team. This team can go win the Super Bowl. Like, but I think we know what Jordan Love is at this point. I think Jordan Love is a hyper-talented guy with very spotty decision-making. He is going to make decisions that are going to make you yell and throw stuff at your TV. And sometimes he'll pull off some heroic stuff, and you go, wow, this is an amazing player. So that's a top 12 guy to me. And top 12 is a solid place to be, but it's also the scariest place to be because it's always good enough to where you feel like you have a chance, but do you ever really have a chance? But then it's also like, we can't really move off of him because what are the odds that we find somebody better than him, So, yeah, unfortunate, but still a solid team. I think Packers fans going to have a good season. I think you'll be happy. You just probably won't win the Super Bowl. All right, Christian, let's talk about a team near and dear to my heart, a team that I lived near for 3 years and have a lot of family who root for. The Chicago Bears. Bears.
Overrated.
No, they're my secret super special sleeper team. No. I want to make this team my sleeper team every year, but I know better. We did
this last year.
I know. Look,
everybody was like, but what about Matt Eberflus? We're like, he's okay. And then
that's what
it blew up in their face.
You and me were right there. I was like, man, people have a lot of confidence in a team that has definitively the worst coach in the division and a rookie quarterback. Like, that is like, on paper, it's like that team's gonna finish last place. Like, what are we talking about
He's
here?
like, no, Caleb Williams gonna fix it
Like,
all.
nah, Nick Wright taking them to the Super Bowl, like, bro, whatever. So
Ridiculous.
On
Team
that
is
note,
still not thrown for 4,000 passing yards in the
I-
season. A quarterback has not thrown 4,000. Still hasn't
That's
in their franchise history.
such a sad stat. But really quick to recap: 3-14 in 2022, 7-10 in 2023, and then last year 5-12. So you talk about the floor, which a lot of people we said 7-10. I think we had them 7-10, 8-9. They went 5-12. So I will say this: you defended Jordan Love. I will defend Caleb Williams.
That is fair.
I will defend him. Here's my
Go
thing.
ahead.
Here's my thing. Look, yes, he struggled in some areas, no doubt. He ran backwards sometimes. he would just hold on to the ball. He was kind of inconsistent in his decision making. His processing seemed slow. I get all that. I get it all. I get it. But I just want to say this. If you are somebody, if you're one of those people that are saying, you know what, Drake May about to light up the league. Drake May about to come out here and light up the league. I got bad news for you. Because Drake May and Caleb Williams had extremely identical seasons last year.
It was crazy.
What?
I do think the Patriots are going to play. Are going to be better.
I know. That's the narrative. That's the narrative. But, like, you listen to Drake May talk, and it's like Drake May is an ascending player. He is about to take such a leap forward. It's going to be crazy. And then Caleb Williams is like, yeah, Caleb Williams just might not have it. Sorry, y'all. And it's like, hey, how are they in EPA and DVOA? Identical. Hey, what about pressure rate? Yeah, Drake May was had slightly worse pressure rate, so he was a little worse in terms of his offensive line play than Caleb, but like still kind of identical. Turnover-worthy throws. Yeah, Drake May had 3 times as many. What about depth of...
Caleb was scared to throw, just scared to get rid of the ball.
For sure. But depth of target. Caleb Williams had a better depth of target. And he had more air yards dropped, so his receivers were less reliable. Now, I will say Drake May had him in completion percentage, and he had him slightly in touchdowns per game. So again, this is not to knock Drake May. Like, I'm not knocking Drake May. I'm talking about the idea that if you believe Drake May is this ascending player who looked awesome last year, and oh my God, did you see that last throw he had against the Titans when he tied the game up and forced overtime? Yeah, the one that he lost. Yeah, I saw that game. If that's your take on Drake May and your take on Caleb Williams is, nah, he ain't got it, Chief. He ain't got it. You're inconsistent because you cannot look at both of these guys and say one is trending downward to bust status and another is trending towards superstardom. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. So with all that in mind, with all that said, I am confident in both of them. And the reason I'm confident in Caleb Williams is because I thought the Bears offseason was marvelous. I thought they had a marvelous offseason. I thought they did everything right. They were so intentional in going out and helping Caleb Williams. It was really, to me, one of the best offseasons in the league. Ben Johnson hired, and I know we talked about this in the middle of last year because I had said the best thing they can do is go get Ben Johnson because not only do you add in theory, genius offensive mind to your head. I mean, he is a genius offensive mind, but in theory, he'd be a good head coach. We don't know yet. But you also take away possibly the Lions' biggest strength from them, which is him running their offense. He's obsessive in execution. You hear it out of camp. He's kicking guys out of practice. He's making sure they have the basics down, getting into formation, getting the ball snapped. I think that's going to be really, really good for this offense. Christian, I'm curious. What are your thoughts on the Bears offseason? Did you like it as much as me with Ben Johnson, the O-line improvements, etc.?
Yeah, I do like what they did in the offseason and in the draft. Their main concern, like from the get-go, was to help Caleb Williams, and they did that. They traded for Joe Thuney. They traded for Jonah Jackson, both guards. They brought in Drew Dalman, center. And in the draft, they, selected Colson Loveland from Michigan. I think he's going to be really good with him, pairing him with Cole Kmet. We love throwing a tight end. I know I love throwing a tight end. So you getting a top 10. You getting a guy top 10 with Colton Loveland there, talent wise, hopefully. And then Cole Kmet has been there. He's been in that system, and I think he's pretty good. And they added Duran Smith there, tight end, just to help out that tight end room there. And then in the second round, went after Luther Burden the third from Missouri in the second round, and then they got Ozzie Trapolo in the second round, tackle out of Boston College. So they did a lot to help out the offensive side. They've added talent with receivers. They should have a decent running game. And I like Romadunze. I think Romadunze is going to have a big breakout second year. I thought he had an okay year his rookie year, but I think he's going to play solid. And then DJ Moore, we know what he can do. He can be a number one. So, yes, all the struggles. I'm hearing all the struggles about it in camp, but I thought Eric Mangini said it well on First Things First. Apparently, Ben Johnson's system is, very complex. There's motions, there's different. There's like 12 play calls to like if they come out in this or in that. There's checks and all that. And Eric Mangini was talking about it, and I think what they're doing in this preseason and with Caleb, and you see the struggles is because I think they're trying to just throw the kitchen sink at him, like give him everything and see what he struggles with and what he does well. And then once we see the season roll out, they'll tone it down a little bit, run more stuff that he's more comfortable with. And as the season, hopefully, build upon that. As we've said about all of these teams in this division, they do have a tough schedule. So I am not expecting Caleb. I do think Caleb should have a bounce back year. I'm not expecting him to light up the league, first game of the season, Monday night versus the Vikings. Then they got to play Detroit in week 2. But I think maybe toward the mid-season we might see him, pick it back up. And remember, they were 4-2. Now they were 4-2, and then the Commanders game happened, and then it just went all to hell.
Yeah.
So I think he's shown talent. Like he's shown that he has the talent, but he has to work on hey bro, you can't make every play. You can't pick it up first down or get some yards with your legs, great, but we shouldn't be running 30 yards in circles around trying to get a playoff. That's just not going to work in the NFL. Yeah, I think offseason wise, they were pretty good, and they're gonna be at least interesting to see, to watch. But I think people are really overhyping this team just yet.
Yeah.
I think we're a little early on it, but hey, if Caleb pops and they figure it out, then this team should be a wild card contender, not a division winner.
See, I do not believe they'll be contending for the wild card this year. I don't. I think you are going to see this team start out very, very slowly.
Yes,
I think this is going, and look, everybody's gonna see it and go, oh look, Caleb Williams not the answer. He's got Ben Johnson, and we're gonna have weeks in between these games to talk about it, and everybody's gonna be down on Caleb Williams. I'm gonna tell you all right now, Caleb Williams in the first half of the season is not going to be very good. He's not going to be. Now, second half of the season, as he gets more familiar with the offense, as he gets used to the tempo, gets used to the play calling, gets used to the machinations of the Ben Johnson machine, you are going to see him doing better and better as the season goes on. I just think it'll be a little too late this year for that to materialize into anything meaningful. I think, given how hard this division is too, I think this team will be in last place. Now, if we do want to talk about a path for them, right, Dennis Allen at the helm defensively, I think he's going to be great for them defensively. DVOA, when he was with the Saints, he got the head coaching job in 2022, right? So DVOA data goes back to 2019, right? So 2019, they were 6th in DVOA, 8th in rushing and passing. In 2020, they were 2nd in DVOA, including passing and rushing DVOA. And then in 2021, they were also 2nd again. 3rd in passing, 2nd in rushing. So this has been, and then in EPA, 2020, they were 7th, and in 2021, they were 5th. So in all the advanced stats metrics, Dennis Allen gets more out of his players than the sum of its parts. And this is a defense that really specializes. Like, you look at the personnel they have, they can excel at man coverage quite a bit. Yeah, they really are. I mean, Jalen Johnson had a bit of it. I mean, it's easy to be like, well, he had a down year last year. Everybody had a down year. Everybody had a down year. He got a Pro Bowl nod. 2023, he was obviously lights out. 2024, iffy. Kyler Gordon, elite slot corner. Got the bag. We love to see that. And then, they also got Za Frazier in the 5th round. So, they added a little bit of depth there. I think the biggest question mark for this team is going to be what's going to happen with Tyreek Stevenson, who he was in his sophomore year last year and had just a horrible, terrible year. He was the guy, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Bears fans, he was the guy, if I remember, he was the one chirping at the end of the Hail Mary and then gave up the Hail Mary. So
no,
yeah, but his skill set is very much that of man coverage. So if Dennis Allen can work his magic, he's got he was a 2nd round pick, Tyreek Stevenson. So he's got talent. So he's got Jalen Johnson, he's got Kyler Gordon, and then in the back he's got Jaquan Brisker, which he missed a lot of the season with a concussion. So maybe that is a concern with him going forward. But nevertheless, he's a solid safety, and Kevin Byard is also a solid safety.
Still there.
So they got dudes in this secondary, I think, that can really help. The defensive line, they went and added Dayo Odeingbo.
Okay,
he's coming from the Colts.
I was not going to try to say that. I don't.
Dayo Odeingbo. That's how I've been saying it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I've been saying it that way since he was on the Colts. And then Grady Jarrett, all-time Falcons player.
But hey, it is.
He's older now. He's 32, but nevertheless, it's gonna help them. It's gonna help them, and they still got Montez Sweat on the edge there. Montez Sweat is solid, and then their linebackers. I love their linebackers. T.J. Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, that is. I know they had, again. We're saying it over and over for this team. A down year last year, but I really like. This is a lot of talent for Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen's got to be looking at this defensive unit going, man,
I can fix this.
I got dudes on all 3 levels that I can play with. I mean, I expect this defense to take a huge step forward. I don't think they'll be like an elite level defense, but if they can get to that 12-ish defense, I think they got the dudes for that, especially Dennis Allen's first year. I think that's going to really help their offense. But again, I just don't see Caleb popping early. I think Caleb will be fine. I think this is going to be a great change for him ultimately. And I just don't. I think it's going to take a minute. But I did like the Colston Loveland thing, as you said. It's going to allow them to run 12 personnel. Burden is going to be in their 11 personnel as their 3rd receiver. So, they got some flexibility now. That's what Ben Johnson wants, right? Ben Johnson's going to go get these guys, and he's going to make it to where he's like, we can run 12, we can run 11, we can do kind of whatever we want. So it's going to be really good. DeAndre Swift, I'm skeptical of, and I'm really sad that they did not go and address their running game a little more, because you have, again, a quarterback that's going to be learning this new system, and it's a complex one. You would like it if you could lean on your running game a little bit, and hey, maybe DeAndre Swift just needed some great interior linemen, which he now has. And maybe he just needed a new offensive scheme, and we're going to see DeAndre Swift's career resurrected. But I am a little skeptical of DeAndre Swift, and I wish they had given Caleb a little more help back there.
It seems like it's going to be running back by committee. They did go get a running back in the 7th round, Kyle Monanagai from Rutgers. They have Johnson there, the running back too. So I should be running back by committee. But yeah, I wish they would have helped him out there a little bit too.
And I hate to say, I imagine a Bears fan is listening to this going, dude, they went and got 3 new offensive linemen. They went and drafted a tight end. They went and drafted another receiver.
Traded for some linemen.
And you're sitting here like, oh, but I wish they did this too. I get it. I'm not knocking them for it. I'm just saying that would have been the final thing that they would have needed to really set this offense up beautifully. And I think it could leave a little bit to be desired. Nevertheless, Christian, let's talk about this team and what they could and might not accomplish. I think they're going to be last in this division. Spoiler alert for predictions week. Maybe when I pick the schedule, it'll change a little bit, but I expect this team to be like 7-10, 8-9, and finish last place. I have some thoughts on the schedule, but I'll turn it over to you, and you tell me what you think their ceiling and floor is.
Forecasted at 8.5. I bet the under, so I'm expecting that 8-9, 7-10 floor for them. I think ceiling is like 9-8, maybe 10-7, but that's like it. Like Caleb pops early, and we're both projecting him to struggle here and there. But yeah, I think they're gonna be last in the division, and it's gonna be an up and down season. But I do think there's gonna be sun over the horizon.
Yeah,
later.
Brighter days ahead. Now, let's talk about their path really quick. You look at the beginning of this schedule here. It is a bit of a gauntlet. You have the Vikings, obviously, Lions. You do get the Cowboys and Raiders, though. Winnable games. Commanders, maybe a little revenge game. I don't know if you think the Commanders will be good. You have the Saints. So you look at the Giants, through their first 10 games, you say maybe they have 4 or 5 winnable games. If they can somehow manage to be 4-4 halfway through the year, you probably have to steal a win. But, the back half of their schedule is also brutal. Packers twice, Eagles, Vikings, Niners, Lions. They do get the Browns. They get the Steelers. I'm looking at it and I'm just like, where are the 9 or 10 wins? Where are they? Where? I don't see them. So
maybe they can. Not rooting on injury, but some kind of that kind of happens. Something goes their way.
That would be their path.
Maybe they get they did lose to the Green Bay by a point last year, so get some revenge there. I could maybe see that shipping for them.
They split. They split with the Packers. I'll say they split. Split with the Lions, split with the Vikings.
Because, week 18, they could not be playing for anything. The Lions.
Even if we give them all of those, that's 3. We'll give them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. To me,
Jake, we're not doing predictions.
I know. I'm trying. I'm looking. I'm where is this team gonna get this 10-11 win season that so many people I feel like are saying? Even 9 wins. I'm like.
This just feels like last year. Man, look at all the talent and look what all they did, adding, offensive line and, tight end and all that stuff. And then you're in the season and then they're going to struggle and people are going to be like, well.
Look, all I'm saying is, I'll end on this. Do not panic when Caleb Williams struggles this year. Okay. He's going to struggle at first. Your goal should be, how does Caleb Williams look by the end of the year? And, oh, wow, Caleb Williams was really good in the back half. We finally have something there. Awesome. A little too late. Very tough year, tough schedule, but nevertheless, we've got our guy. And we feel really good about going into 2026. He's going in with a full season under his belt. Things are looking up. We have an opportunity to add even more talent to our team. Because let me go check really quick. I can check where their salary cap situation is going to be next year. They're only going to be $9 million over. So they make a cut or two here and there. That's an easy fix. That is a very manageable contract situation. So you might not have a lot of money to go spend, but you're going to get another bite at the draft. You're going to be able to carry this nucleus in for another year. I just don't be down on the Bears because they're not going to be that great this year. But I think next year, I think they really could pop. So that is all I got. Anything from you, Christian?
No, I'm just can't wait till we get to the season.
That wraps it up for us. 4 teams in, 4 teams out. We will be back later this week to talk about the AFC North. Should be a very fun division. Until then, though.
Got some opinions.
Oh, I'm excited to hear that. I'm excited to hear that.
On Mr. Burrow there.
Oh man, you got to be careful, man. He's one of the four scary men. You got to be careful talking about Joe Burrow. He'll come and kill you.
He's scary, but can't make the playoffs.
Yeah. Look, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that on Thursday. Until then, y'all, we appreciate you. We love you. We cherish you. Please give us a rating. Helps out. Like, subscribe, follow us. We're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, your favorite podcasting app. We are everywhere you can think of, and then some extra places that maybe you're forgetting. Until next time, everybody, take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.